We need to be able to have conversations without feeling like we're going to say something that gets us thrown in jail because people happen to be offended.
Skepticism. Do you know what you believe?
All right, guys, we are live with another skeptical analysis. Today, I'm here to defend my friend Richard Dawkins. The title of this is Defending Richard Dawkins from Delusional Atheists. Well, here we are, folks, from the God delusion to this. How do you like it? It's very humanist of these so-called humanists to go after someone who is engaging in the war of ideas and bringing up topics that a lot of people have a difficult time talking about. And part of that reason is because people feel like others are going to shame them or talk them down or cancel them if they dare to speak about these topics that are difficult to talk about. So what's going on here with Richard Dawkins and the atheist community? And why are some of these delusional radical atheists going after Richard Dawkins? Let's take a look. Let's see if you agree that they are delusional. The American Humanist Association, good without God, advocating progressive values and equality for humanists, atheists, and free thinkers. Something Richard Dawkins has been doing for his entire life, right? So here's the headline of what the American Humanist Association had to say about Richard Dawkins recently. This came out April 19th, 2021, a day before my birthday. American Humanist Association Board statement withdrawing honor from Richard Dawkins. So they're assuming that they have honor to withdraw from Richard Dawkins, as if they can take honor away from Richard Dawkins. So there's an assumption there. Let's see if it's true by the end of this stream. Established in 1953, the Humanist of the Year Award is conferred annually by the American Humanist Association, AHA, recognizing the awardee as an exemplar of humanist values. Communication of scientific concepts to the public is an important aspect of advancing the cause of humanism. Also, by the way, by the end of this, see if you're still okay with slapping this general humanist label on yourselves, on yourself, and see if you're still okay with it. There's a reason why I don't call myself a secular humanist. Richard Dawkins was honored in 1996 by the AHA as Humanist of the Year for his significant contributions in this area. Regrettably, Richard Dawkins has, over the past several years, accumulated a history of making statements that use the guise of scientific discourse to demean marginalized groups, an approach antithetical to humanist values. There's a link to humanist values here. We'll click on them. His latest statement implies that the identities of transgender individuals are fraudulent. This is what they think is implied by Richard Dawkins' latest statements, while also simultaneously attacking black identity is one that can be assumed when convenient. His subsequent attempts at clarification are inadequate and convey neither sensitivity nor sincerity. Consequently, the AHA board has concluded that Richard Dawkins is no longer deserving of being honored by the AHA and has voted to withdraw, effective immediately, the 1996 Humanist of the Year award. What do you guys think of this? So let's see. Did they link on their website? Did they link to any of these things? No. Let's click on humanist values. They get all of these retards who think that they have escaped religion. And then they go into their humanist society of commandments and they retitle it Commitments. The 10 Commitments. Global awareness. Great. Responsibility. Sure. Empathy. Yep. Critical thinking. Right on. Ethical development. Sure. Peace and social justice. Yikes. Don't lump peace in with social justice. Justice is what everyone is governed under the law. That's what justice is. If someone's out peacefully protesting, they're protesting for change within the justice system. That's not trying to create your own layer of justice like you have with Richard Dawkins here is one of the most evil ideas I can ever think of. Service and participation. Well, what if people can't give service and participation to the cause? Are you going to axe them? And what if their service and participation comes from a different perspective than yours? That may actually be better. Are you going to cancel them? Are you going to throw them to the wolves? Are you going to take away their honor? Something tells me Richard Dawkins doesn't give a rat fuck about this honor. Humility, altruism, environmentalism. So if someone's environmentalist goals, are any of these things allowed to be discussed, including trans issues or issues of racial identity, where there are some people who, which Richard Dawkins was talking about, some people out there that call themselves black when convenient and call themselves white when convenient. You don't think this is happening? And then they go on to give, little statements to go along with this. Altruism. I will help others in need without hoping for rewards. That's good. Critical thinking. I will practice good judgment by asking questions and thinking for myself. I will practice good judgment. Who is determining what is good? The moral good or the moral bad? Where's the collective idea of what morality is? Let's see if this is answered on this website. Empathy. I will consider other people's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Yes, you can consider them and think that they're stupid. That's fine. And I'm sure many at the AHA would disagree with me. Environmentalism. I will take care of the earth and the life on it. How deep does that go? Is it going to become... Is humanism going to become riddled with radical veganism? Who's going to draw the line? Who's going to say it's not good and that it's bad? Is a collective group of judges going to vote on that, and then the rest of the humanists have to follow suit, or else they're going to get their honor taken away? You guys have created another fucking religion. You haven't escaped fuck all. Ooh, my imaginary God touched me where I didn't like it, so I'm going to go create another religion over here. Fucking idiots. Ethical development. I will always focus on becoming a better person. Who decides what's better? Would you decide? Here comes up the Richard Dawkins example. Do you think it's better to not talk about trans issues? Or issues in sexology? Or should Richard not be talking about it because he's a white cis male? Who's deciding what a better person is? Because I'll tell you, I probably disagree with most of you people at AHA about what that means to be a good person. If you think pulling this honor, as you so call it, away from Richard Dawkins is a good idea, you're just wrong. You're morally bankrupt on this issue. It's not good. It's not maximizing the well-being for yourself and those around you to remove this from Richard. Give me an argument as to how it is. I'll listen. I'm going to be opening up the lines, by the way, on Discord to get some commentary. Trav's Tav, which is our Discord tavern. If one of the mods could drop the link, that would be great. Global awareness. Here, I'm going to read, let's see if they answer. I will always focus on becoming a better person in this. The key to understanding ethical development is acknowledging that nobody is perfect or has all the answers. Let's see, was that applied to Richard? Ethical development is a never-ending process that requires constant reflection and evaluation of our personal choices and the consequences they have on others. Fairness, cooperation, and sharing are among the first moral issues we encounter in our ethical development. Fairness, okay, so you have to agree with whether what Richard Dawkins, the questions Richard Dawkins has been posing are fair, in line with cooperation, and sharing are amongst the first moral issues we encounter in our ethical development as human beings and are often embraced intuitively. But each new day carries with it new challenges and new moral dilemmas. We should continually adapt and rebuild our moral framework with the goal of becoming even better human beings. This hasn't even wrestled with morality. Who the fuck wrote this? Who is the idiot who is running this website at AHA? You don't know what morality is. What are the presuppositions you are basing your moral good on? Your subjective moral system, and what is the moral statement you're willing to make about morality? Global awareness. I will be a good neighbor. I gotta look at this to see if they outline what good means. Overview. Oh, this ought to be rich. The anti-racist challenge. What is this website? Do people actually go here? I'm just going to check my audio here. Here, I'm just going to reconnect with OBS. I didn't realize. This may help. I'm just going to take a quick look here. Check 1 2 1 2 check. Wow, it's still doing it. Here, I'm going to stop stream, close OBS, and reboot here. 1 sec. Check 1, 1, 2, check 1. Okay, there we go. We're good. Okay, so let's go back to Twitter here. Fucking Twitter. So Steven Pinker, my good friend Steven Pinker, be sure to drop a like when you guys get into the room here, please. If you enjoy the content on this channel and you enjoy this stream. If you don't, that's okay. You don't have to leave a like. Steven Pinker tweets, letter to the at American Humanist Association from myself, AHA Humanist of the year 2006, and Rebecca Goldstein, AHA Humanist of the year 2011, at Plato Book Tour, protesting its withdrawal of Humanist of the Year award to Richard Dawkins. And this letter is signed by Pinker and Rebecca. And this is written to Sunil Panikath, president of American Humanist Association, and then also to Roy Speckhart, executive director at American Humanist Association. By the way, just looking at your guys' website, it's a pile of shit. You need to get some people in there to help clarify what moral foundation is being operated with. I don't know if I'm just missing it. But you guys need to have, like, if this is meant to be a moral framework, humanism, you ought to outline what that is. Dear Sunil, Roy, and members of the AHA Board of Directors, as former Humanists of the Year, donors to the organization, and prominent public supporters of humanism, we write to protest the decision to revoke Richard Dawkins' Humanist of the Year award because of tweets which raised questions about racial and transgender identity. Dawkins did not call for discrimination, and I'm reading this because they put it way better than I ever could. Dawkins did not call for discrimination against or marginalization of any individual or group, and he explicitly denied any intention to disparage anyone or to lend support to transphobic or racist political movements. Now, it would still be completely appropriate for those of you who objected to the substance of his tweets to criticize them in the humanist or other forums, explaining the nature of their objections. But to seek to punish, dishonor, or humiliate a writer rather than engage with his words is a betrayal of humanism. 100%. This world has become about bullying and trying to pressure thinkers into thinking a certain way. You fucking idiot bullies. We got people like Matt Dillahunty, this Seth Andrews atheist guy, a bunch of these guys with these huge atheist followings who basically are using their audiences to and their public pressure to pressure organizations like this to take action against something, an idea that they detest, against the person, instead of making a fucking argument against Dawkins and what he has to say or the topics that he's bringing up. You go to seek to get his honor canceled or this canceled. Are you going to be at the next live events that Richard Dawkins speaking at, protesting? He shouldn't be allowed to speak here. He shouldn't be given a platform. What has happened to you guys? You are the God delusion. Whatever happened to challenging Richard on the ideas that you detest or the questions that he asks? The letter goes on. The Humanist Manifesto 3 declares that, quote, the life stance of humanism is guided by reason, end quote. Since no one is infallible, Reason requires that a diverse range of ideas be expressed and debated openly, including ones that some people find unfamiliar or uncomfortable. To demonize a writer rather than address the writer's arguments in a confession that one has no rational response to them. Seriously, I know it's hard to stomach going over to Twitter, but go over to Twitter to Richard Dawkins' feed to some of these tweets that he made and read what some of these prominent atheists had to say in response. Go fucking retire, Richard. You're done. You're finished. The illiberal response is all the more damaging to an organization that claims to be this text is really small. Claims to repudiate the regressive practice of religion. It has not been lost on commentators that an association of, quote, free thinkers has deemed certain thoughts unthinkable. Yeah. Or you were sick of the thought, the God-given thought crime, or the idea of thought crime, weren't you? Nor that is enforcing dogmas and catechisms by excommunicating a heretic. The AHA is turning itself into a laughing stock. This will only intensify when critics discover that past Humanists of the Year, whose awards have not been withdrawn, include Margaret Sanger, a proponent of eugenics, and Alice Walker, who advances lunatic anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Many other awardees have aroused controversy in their day or hours, sometimes endorsing positions we now recognize as pseudoscientific. If every Humanist of the Year could be canceled by someone who took exception to a sentence in their work, we would have a new inquisition that would earn the mockery of every defender of traditional religion. This is so well written. Richard Dawkins is one of our greatest living scientists, writers, and humanists. We call on the American Humanist Association to reverse this regressive decision and undo the damage it has brought upon itself and the humanist movement. This is a disgusting, disgusting display of anti-skepticism. All of you woke people who wear this skeptic, I am a skeptic, I'm skeptical, I know what skepticism is, and you're engaging in shit like this. You have not applied skepticism to your own emotional knee-jerk reactions to certain topics. You're idiots. You have found yourself on religious groundings. That's who you are now. You're the deluded religious tard that you were so quick to slay on your call-in show or calling into their call-in show. Oh yeah, dab, brother. Oh, another theistic retard pwned. You are that theistic retard. That's you now. How do you feel? The fact that you could go after a hero for humanism, a hero for equality, a hero of science communication. And here's the funny thing, and you feel like you've slapped him in the face, but really you're slapping at air, because Dawkins is not in the presence of your organization. It is your honor to have him honored at your organization and for him to accept any honor. You have lost your honor, not him. You cannot take honor away from Richard Dawkins. You can't. Because he's asking certain questions and asking you, is saying that he's found interest in in what's her name's book about the problems of the problems in the sexology realm, where if you don't buy into certain generalizations about the sexes, you're considered a bigot or a transphobe. What is wrong with people? This is what happens when you allow these disgusting political ideologies into your moral foundation. Your morality should be based in maximizing well-being for yourself and those around you. If you were operating in that with that, you wouldn't be running into this problem. But you have moral dictators on your hands. That's what you have. I'm going to open up the lines for a minute. What up, Mason Dell?
Hello.
I can hardly hear you, brother. You got to speak into your microphone.
I'm sorry, is that better?
Thank you.
Sorry, I had your stream on, so I had to shut it off.
So what do you guys think of this canceling of Richard Dawkins? This company or this organization feeling like they can take honor away from Richard Dawkins. Do you guys agree that this is nonsense, or do you think it's a good thing?
Yeah, it's complete bollocks. I just had a look at the tweet online, and he hasn't even done the thing that he's accused of. He literally was just asking people their opinion on a topic.
Yes, he asked people to discuss a certain issue, and people could either comment or not, but they just wished to seek to scream him down. Go ahead, Dal.
Yeah, it seems like a combination of an amygdala, like one that may have just been one person who kind of started this disgust response at whatever Richard Dawkins said.
What person?
But there's like a wave of virtue signaling that's accompanying it, where everyone feels that they need to now oust the transphobe, and I think that they're not actively looking for what's going on. They're just following their hero into the fields of battle.
Yeah. So in other words, think the way I fucking think, or we're gonna take your honor away.
Yep.
Rather than making a good fucking argument against what he had to say. You fucking kidding me? You're not a skeptic. All of you who are buying into this crap, you're not a skeptic. Don't wear that label.
I never liked Matt Dillahunty. I saw that that debate that he did with Jordan Peterson. I think you arranged that, didn't you? And
I produced that event.
Yeah, I could just tell he was really passive aggressive towards Jordan during that event. He didn't seem like a nice dude.
No, look, I have to say something about Matt. I consider Matt a friend. I don't know if he considers me a friend. I think he thinks I'm evil or something. But Matt is way better than this. He is the reason why I put him on stage with people like Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Lawrence Krauss, Jordan Peterson, Dinesh D'Souza, is because he has one of the best skeptical foundations out there going. But what the fuck is happening to his brain? On Twitter today, I posted an event I produced, my first big event that I produced with him and Richard Dawkins. And look at that Matt Dillahunty and how he's engaging in that discourse, and look at him now. You tell me who is the true skeptic. Go ahead, Dal.
I think you pretty much nailed it. Like Matt Dillahunty, I always kind of looked up to him. I always thought he was a cool guy. He seems to be like he's just talked to so many theologians with horrible ideas that he's kind of the master at without even needing to think about it, just completely dissecting your thoughts and taking it apart and telling you why you're wrong. And you don't see any of that here. You just see the blatant yelling that you're wrong.
Where is the argument? Where is the Matt Dillahunty that would look at something that Richard Dawkins had to say and write a cohesive response, a coherent response about why Richard Dawkins is wrong and why he ought to change his mind and why he not ask certain questions? And then I would come along and say, hey, anything is allowed to be discussed. Any question is fine and fair game. Like, what's going on? Canceling intellectual discourse from skeptics or proclaimed skeptics? Matt, there's a reason why I put you on stage with all of these famous thinkers and intellectuals, because you know how to think. It wasn't because you had all of these original ideas. It's because you know how to think. Wake up, man. And like, I'm going to read some more of these responses. Steven Pinker tweeted this out too. This is by someone by the name of Toby Young. The title of this piece at Mail Plus is "Woke Humanists Have Become as Dogmatic as Religious Fundamentalists." I hope you guys are hearing. Okay, yeah, you are. I just wanted to make sure you guys were hearing the other guys on the line. Hey, Dal and Mace, could you guys send Nivik a message just to ping him that we're on the air?
We need to get him in. Yeah.
I want to read, by the way, since we're talking about the God delusion, Richard Dawkins, the atheist delusion. I hope Richard writes a fucking book. The next book that comes out, the atheist delusion. Fuck, I would love that. And he would focus on the politicization of these fucking atheist groups. So, okay, delusion. Let's see if this dictionary definition matches with the common usage of this term. An idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or rational argument. Typically, a symptom of mental disorder. But the first part, contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or rational argument. These claims of Richard Dawkins being a transphobe have not been demonstrated. There's been no demonstration. Oh, he seems to imply by asking this question, you're religious nutcases. That's what's going on here. Okay, let's go to... Yeah, go ahead.
I would think that if he's asking bad questions, the most that would allude to is his ignorance, and then you could, enlighten him and help him reach the point that you've reached.
These are the same fucking people that look at a guy like Daryl Davis, who as a black man goes into the KKK meetups and deconverts through the power of intellectual discourse KKK members who fundamentally hate him for the color of his skin. You are the kind of people that think Daryl Davis is an Uncle Tom, and you're wrong. If you think I'm wrong, jump on Discord right now. I'm happy to talk to you live on the air. I won't cancel you. Alexander, if you could drop that Discord link again, that would be great. Daryl Davis, baby. Daryl Davis is antithetical to what these idiots at AHA are pushing. Okay, let me read this. This is by Toby Young. Whoever fights monsters should... it starts off with a quote. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster, end quote. Wrote by the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. And that appears to be what's happened to the American Humanist Association. Once a staunch enemy of religious zealots of every stripe, the association has been captured by the woke cult, a hard left ideological movement that is every bit as dogmatic and intolerant as fundamentalist Christian and Islamists. 100%, brother. That came clear when earlier this week, the AHA withdrew the Humanist of the Year award it had given to the evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins in 1996, who's supposedly using science to, quote, demean marginalized groups, end quote. That's woke speak for challenging the identity politics. That's woke speak for challenging the identity politics of the postmodernist, neo-Marxist left using logic and reason. You don't need to invoke Marxism in this, Toby. You don't need it. Dawkins, who was one of the four horsemen, quote, of the new atheism movement in the early 2000s, which, by the way, we don't need these groupings and labels like that, committed the sin of comparing being transgender to being transracial. He pointed out that Rachel Dolezal, I think her name is, an official at the NACCP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, was vilified by the woke thought police for identifying as black when she was born white. Yet the very same people who turned on her will attack anyone who refuses to accept that a person born as a man can identify as a woman. These are important conversations to be having. Important social discourse must happen on these topics. You want to engage in intellectual discourse, engage in the war of ideas to separate good ideas from bad ideas. Challenge those bad ideas right out there in public. And what do Matt Dillahunty and these other guys want to do? They want to silence those conversations. They want to silence Richard Dawkins' ability and scare him out of asking these important questions. You might say, well, they're not important. Well, I disagree. So we can have a conversation about why they're important or why they're not. What has happened to these guys? Dawkins' heresy then was to ask why being transracial makes you a sinner in the eyes of the identity-obsessed left, but he didn't put it that way. This guy's making it all political. This Toby Young. But being transgender qualifies you for virtual sainthood. Either your identity is circumscribed by your DNA or it's not, said the author of The Selfish Gene. You cannot have it both ways. So there's more of this. I'll drop this article for you guys in the chat here. It looks like we got a bunch of you in the room. If you guys enjoy the content here, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button on this stream. I'd really appreciate it. What do you guys think about some of what Toby had to say there?
Well, the neo-Marxists and the...
Why does he have to bring in Karl Marx? Most of these guys have never read Marx. They don't know anything about Marx.
Yeah, for sure. Even Nietzsche, I get the same feeling from most people. Dude, they don't know what he actually said.
Dude, do you know how many times I've read Nietzsche where I've had to go back and been like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, the guy's fucking crazy, and he's not a nihilist. Like, everyone yells.
Right.
Anyway, to what you're saying about group identifiers, I totally agree. There's no reason to just throw out these clickbait titles everywhere. That's essentially what you're doing.
Right. You don't need to look, just Toby, say it like it is. You don't need to add any of your political agenda to the other side of what, you're putting your arm around Dawkins and be like, yeah, we're the same now because we think the Marxists are whatever. It's like, that's not what he said.
Yeah, that's why people are blowing up on the left and attacking him right now because you're grouping him in with the side that's pointing at them and calling them all neo-Marxists.
Yeah.
Nivik.
What up, Nivik? Okay, now let's see what else we got on Twitter here. There's been a lot that I've been retweeting. We got Lawrence Krauss saying, shame on at American Humanists, which used to be a noble organization, but is now run by individuals who don't understand or value skeptical thinking, critical debate, or free questioning. The hallmarks of humanism. I canceled my lifetime membership. Lawrence Krauss, he is mayor of Wrightville on this, 100% correct. I have to read it again. Shame on at American Humanist, shame on you, which used to be a noble organization, but is now run by individuals who don't understand or value skeptical thinking, critical debate, or free questioning. Skepticism is the mechanism we use to determine bullshit from reality. to question and continue to question anything. Not everything. You'll go mad. You'll turn into a cynic. But anything that pops up that you think is worthy of a question. And these idiots that are attacking the man and not his arguments or even his question are the ones that are anti-skepticism. You've went from being a skeptic to an anti-skeptic. That's what you are. How does it feel? Grim, what do you think about this whole issue? Or we'll go to Nivik.
I don't know if you can hear me because I'm driving.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Go ahead, Nivik.
Yeah, I think it's wrong to not listen to what people have to say.
Well, like Nivik, what's going on here is Richard Dawkins is trying to start some conversations about trans issues, trans identity, racial identity. And then these other people who are professing to be skeptics and people who understand skepticism are trying to attack him instead of the arguments he's making or the questions he's asking. What do you think about that?
No, they shouldn't do that. He's just being skeptic and having conversation. I think they're making a mistake in being retaliatory. Like if he's like a far right cancel person, like a person in a Nazi, like a Nazi or a KKK person. I think they're just they're just confused in wanting to be skeptic. And because that's what they are themselves. So
I'm just gonna add a window just so people can see Discord here. But like Nivik, can you imagine if you had this large following and you posted what you thought was an interesting question for people to talk about, and then people started attacking you and calling you terrible names and labeling you these terrible things and taking away your what they claim to be honors because of the questions you asked? Like what would be your response?
You just keep doing what you're doing. You
don't listen
regardless,
to it, right?
Yeah,
you don't bother listening to it. Man, it gets my blood boiling thinking about these idiots, these anti-skeptical idiots who are attacking Richard for asking questions. It's coming from these atheists who really haven't lost their religiosity. They've transferred it over into this secular humanist movement, and they're dictating what they think is good, and they're being these moral objectivists and saying if he doesn't think a certain way about trans issues, we got to go after him and shut him down, cancel him.
And it's the thing. He's not a cancel culture person, Dawkins. He's not that.
Do you know how many times
it shouldn't be doing that to him?
Do you know how many Richard Dawkins, when hardly anyone was defending him, and I'm talking back 30 years ago. He's a lone soldier out there. He is a hero of intellectual discourse. He's my hero. Delusion, an idiosyncratic belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or rational argument.
I think they just get lost in the bullshit and meta. I think they get in like, well, what do we really know? Oh, it's all theory. Any of that, instead of being a lack of confidence in race, and it's confident in what we clearly have to, and it's a play on a short memory of how far we've mindset.
You're breaking up a little bit. I hear what you're saying though. So
he's not a cancel culture person. They're misunderstanding him as that. They're misfiring at him.
Yeah,
it's kind of like You know, like if a person's like trying to cancel you, you know, then I guess it's like the person be like, well, I'm going to respond and canceling you back, but that's not what he is. He's just a he's promoting their values of skepticism.
I think it's a virtual or virtue signaling type thing.
Yes, it is.
You have someone sticking their dogs on the guy who's in trouble, and then you have them trying to signal that they're skeptical and they're an atheist and they know all these logical answers to things and science. They observe science. And so they're all trying to tell everyone else that and say that this guy's bad and all agree on the same thing so that they're unified in tribalism. It's a tribalistic maneuver where it's not really about the ideas, it's about the fact that we all know this thing to be true and you are wrong.
Right. I got to read this. Okay, so April 10th, 2021, Richard tweets this. In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, I apologize if I'm getting that last name wrong, a white chapter president of NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that they literally are what they identify as. Discuss. So he's asking people to discuss this. Now, some people may say, oh, the language he used was in bad faith. So challenge him on it. And then he actually had the courtesy to say, you know, Richard Dawkins, he cares about this community that's pissing in his face. He says, I do not intend to disparage trans people. I see that my academic, quote, discuss question has been misconstrued as such, and I deplore this. It was also not my intent to ally in any way with Republican bigots in the U.S. now exploiting this issue. So after that clarification and that tweet, they still took away what they think is an honor when really they should be honored to even have Richard Dawkins' name on their website. Let's see some of these other articles. So nothing about that is anti-trans for anyone out there who is confused. If they think it is, let me see your demonstration of that.
Like I said, I think it's just an issue of the fact that they're very, very smart people, but they lack the art of skepticism. A lot of people do. Everywhere. It's not for everybody.
Well, this is what we need to improve on, man. I am like and this guy's and here's a response. Matthew Perrock, with his response, says to Richard's Rachel Dolezal question, Dolezal, this has been discussed at length for years. And he says his rebuttal is trans women are women, trans men are men. Non-binary people are non-binary. And then he says, this is not up for debate. Shame on you. So this is his challenge. My response would be, this is up for debate because anything is up for debate. Even the fact that an apple just fell off the tree out there, it's still up for debate. You might be on really shaky grounds if you were going to try and debate that it did not, in fact, fall off the tree. Because we can look at the crime scene and evaluate to whether it probably did or not. So this attitude, this is not up for debate. We're not gonna tolerate this being debated. Fuck you guys. Fuck you. And also, this idea of trans women are women. It depends on what you're looking, how you're looking at that conversation. Because if someone's to say, like from a gender perspective, they might have an argument if you're willing to buy that gender is on a spectrum, that you can choose your gender, or that you are your gender and you become enlightened to your gender. But if you're talking from a biological perspective, and someone says, you know, I've come to the realization that I am a trans. I'm not a woman, or I'm not a man. I'm a trans woman. And you say, well, I get that you say that, but that doesn't mean that your entire biology changes. Like if you're talking like if they go to take readings at the hospital, what are they going to say on the chart when it comes back to, you know, whether this is a male or a female that's been admitted? So this is up for debate. I'm fine calling people with whatever they want to be called, but good God, everything's up for debate. If you have something in your mind that says this thing is not up for debate, you're not a skeptic. You're not a skeptic, plain and simple.
But that's what I'm talking about, is that if you're going to grow skepticism, you have to be able to get past the ego of others. And that's the biggest problem in human culture. You can't push past the ego. It will be met with furious anger and rejection of reality.
Yeah. Look, and Richard has been a defender against these assholes who might say something like, even if a person comes up to me and says, I would prefer that you refer to me as her instead of him. Because there are assholes out there who would be like, no, I'm going to continue calling you a guy because that's what you biologically are, you man. Well, then you're just an asshole. You don't like, it's kind of the same thing as if someone's like, my name's Alex. And someone walks up to you and is like, hey, what up, Travis? And they're like, can you stop calling me Travis? This is weird. My name is Alex. Oh, whatever you say, Travis. It's like, you're not going to hang out with that person for very much longer. You're just going to be like, this guy's an asshole. Anyone, Innes, R, Martin, any of you guys can join us on Discord right now. You can jump into the call. We are live on the air. You can say whatever you want live on the air right now, and we can have a conversation. If any of you think, oh, this is an echo chamber or anything like that. I'm talking about the fundamentals of what skepticism is.
Oh, this is far from an echo chamber.
I'm talking about, but Nivik, some people are idiots and they come into this chat and they hear an idea that they disagree with and they think that means echo chamber. But join us in the Discord chat. Come over, join the conversation, and I'll hear you out on your points that you would like to make. Does anyone in the YouTube chat right now support what the AHA did to Richard Dawkins? How do you like seeing that canceled stamp on Richard Dawkins' face? I'll tell you, 10 years ago, you would have been like, oh, it's the fucking religious people trying to cancel Richard Dawkins for speaking about evolution. Oh, okay. Innes, and just to clarify, Innes says, I was talking about the atheist echo chamber mainly on the ACA channels. Yeah, and look, anyone from the ACA, anyone can come over and have a conversation with me. They will get a good faith conversation from me. That is helpful. So and Innes says, I do not think that was very nice of them. I hope you join us on Discord, Innes. I would like to hear your voice on the air and voice your how you feel.
This is an arena, not an echo chamber. Everybody else are in their echo chambers.
Right. Yeah. The people in echo chambers are the ones that won't jump into good faith discussions about these topics, or they even think these topics should not be discussed. Go ahead, Grim.
We need to realize the capabilities of humans that we have now when it comes to what the Greeks did, which was create an open forum where everybody can speak their mind, try to keep the judgment at bay. But now we have something they don't. Access to information instantly to stop a biased or an egotistical or a pious nature of spouting bullshit. And so we can just go off the facts of what we have while you still using skepticism and empathy and everything that makes us beautiful as humans. So for me, this is more it just reminds me, Discord always reminds me, or even public forums or chats or whatever, remind me of just what the Greeks started, which was, let's just have discourse and ideas and get into it.
And focus on the ideas, not how evil the person saying the idea might be.
Right. But what happened with the Greeks? Motherfuckers started getting angry at each other. and they started yelling at each other. And that happens. You get a few dicks in there that just start taking over the show, and people tend to click and follow. They just do, especially to egotistical, maniacal assholes for some reason, because they think they got it all figured out. And you get somebody probably in the humanist organization that is doing that. Not that many actors. You just have followers. You just have people that naturally follow. And that's okay. But people have a hard time thinking for themselves, especially days to day where people are pushed, moved, and just want to focus in certain areas. A lot of people don't think for themselves. I think that it fucks up their ego and it fucks up their confidence. So
Founding fathers studied the Greeks in developing a check and balance system of the Democratic Republic.
Yeah, well, it was the Greeks, it was the Enlightenment area, Thomas Paine, Aquinas, it was oppression, religious oppression. They took everything into account of how to move forward. Yeah, but democracy shows us one thing, is that let's stop having leaders and like a leader and realize that we can put many leaders together. And we could actually discuss ideas in ways that might be right-leaning, left-leaning, social, or socialist or conservative or libertarian. As long as the idea good and applies correctly and everybody can agree on it, that's the best part. It's the virtues. The virtues kill everything. It's people that are willing to die on a hill for the weirdest shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what the fuck?
I want to bring up the hero complex as well. So I have quite a few trans friends. There's actually quite a big trans community here in Vancouver. And when they see people with this hero complex thinking that they need to be the ones out there saving trans people, they laugh at them. They're like, these trans people are out there having great careers and flourishing in the world. And they're hearing these people talk about trans people are being killed in washrooms. Where's the data? What are you basing this on? Like a few people get killed in washrooms and then you think it's a big fucking global issue? Why don't you go out and start talking to trans people? And not just the trans people that agree with you. Talk to the trans people who love capitalism. Talk to the trans people who are conservatives. Talk to the trans people on the other side of the political spectrum. They exist. Trans people aren't just these flimsy, weak people who need you to come in and save them. There's also this hero complex with black people where you'll sit there and you'll call a black conservative an Uncle Tom. And you'll think that you have this idea that black people need saving from you. It's a crock of shit. They're not this weakened people that need your help.
That's why I never lump myself in with the humanists. I am a humanist, but I got my own definition. I just believe in people, that's it. But these other fuckers, man, they just make these huge goals and virtues that end up causing as much damage as they're trying to fix. It reminds me of a politician who's willing to go to battle for his constituents, but the ideas in the battle don't even make fucking sense or maybe cause more harm for the rest of the people around, yet they're just more worried about their people.
Right. I want to get some comments in from YouTube here. Foglight, thank you guys for commenting, by the way. I really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button on this stream if you're enjoying this stream. Says, I just see tribalism everywhere. You know, when you do start having these group labels that squeeze people together, it's almost inevitable that you get this tribalistic behavior. It happened with this stupid label of the intellectual dark web. Oh yeah, we're all friends under this web of intellectual darkness. And it's like, we don't need this label. If you're going to say anything, say the world is in this intellectual movement of togetherness. You don't have to say these people are members of the intellectual dark web. These people are members of the Atheist Humanist Association or American Humanist Association or the Atheist Community of Austin. The Atheist Community of Austin stands for this and we think this is good. What if someone in the atheist community of Austin says, I don't think that's really a good idea? What are they, out? Jesus Christ. Keith Connolly says, in quotes, hey guys, let's bury a person who is contributing more to the world than all of us combined. Good job, everyone. See, Grizza Oniuk says, Jesus, dude, don't piss your pants. This is a huge problem. If I'm going to piss my pants, it's going to be over people canceling Richard Dawkins and wishing for him to stop asking important questions. Fuck you guys. Fuck all of you who wish to cancel someone who's asking questions.
And asking to be proven wrong. And then willing to have a debate over.
Asking you to discuss these issues, these social issues on Twitter. Oh, what do you want? More Twitter of just people throwing shit at each other? Or do you want someone to start an actual meaningful conversation on that terrible platform? I'm going to post this again because some of you are coming into the room saying, what the hell has happened here? I feel like keeping this fucking stream going all day. Until YouTube fucking shuts me down. But you guys have to understand, if you guys are going after Richard Dawkins for asking these questions, you're the type of people that hate Daryl Davis. That's who you are. Just think about that for a minute. If Richard Dawkins was to start going to KKK meetings and having conversations, you would be the kind of person that says, I'm fucking done with Dawkins. Fuck him. Fuck him. Regardless of whatever ideological results he would be achieving for what he believes to be moral good. Keith Connolly says, it's off screen. You can pee all you like. Who says he's wearing pants? Yeah, exactly. I'm freeballing it right now. I'm Peter Griffin when he puts on the Donald Duck outfit during Halloween, and he stays true to it, just the blue shirt. Oh, fuck. Wolf Coma says, Twitter is social leukemia. I hope, Dal, Mace, Nivik, Grim, if you guys can, jump over into the YouTube chat. There's some good chat going on. Scientific Best says, an echo chamber isn't a quality of one person. It's a quality of the group. If everyone in the group agrees, then it's an echo chamber. No. You can agree on certain aspects of things. But if you were to come into the Pangburn Discord, there's constant disagreement in our Discord. The reason why we're not finding a lot of disagreement here, scientific, because everyone here values skepticism. That's the fundamental drive to the Pangburn brand. If you come into the Pangburn Discord to say, we should not be able to talk about this question here in this Discord, you will be challenged on that. So I challenge you, Scientific Best, to come into the Discord and to present your challenges. Go ahead, Dal.
I was going to say, I argued for God here the other day.
Yeah, we have God believers. We have we have Islamists, Christians. We have some racists stop by. We have some people who have these strange old school ideas that if someone's going to be gay, as long as they keep it in their own home and I don't have to see it. Like, we have people upgrading their software all the time in our Discord because we value good. We do police, and I'll let you guys know about our Discord. We police heavily, all the admins and moderators and myself. We police heavily to make sure that good faith discourse is happening. That's mean there's not just people screaming each other down and shit like that. And it has to be helpful. So shit like, get the fuck out of here. No one wants to hear from you. That's not helpful. So we police those two things, and we police defamation. So if you're going to make a defamatory statement about someone in our Discord, you better be able to demonstrate it or you're gone. So those three things are policed, and we've curated a community of vast arrays of ideologies and ideological beliefs that have come together under these rules and are able to engage in intellectual discourse. Doss Bear says censorship. Are you talking to me, Doss? Yeah. In order to run an intellectual discussion, you need to have rules. That's not censorship. That's just the rules of engagement. You can't come in here and scream at the top of your lungs. You would be what would be called the cunt in the room. Douglas Murray enlightened me to that fact that if you have one cunt in the room, this is a person that's just there to troll. You can't get anything done in the war of ideas. So you need to have some rules of engagement.
Yeah, people are okay with their echo chamber.
But any idea is
viewpoint.
welcome in our Discord. But man, I've been wanting to do this video and live stream for a while now. Sister brothers, pop into the Discord. Let's have a conversation. You say Dawkins should retire in shame and shut the fuck up. You are everything that is wrong with intellectual discourse. You are everything that is wrong with skepticism. You are a cynic. And you should reflect on the shame you ought to feel in being an enemy of intellectual discourse. That's what you are.
I think sister brothers should come onto the Discord. That'd be
Yeah, I would love to
hear.
hear it. Sister, you'll get the same defense here, and you will get your say in this Discord. Sister Brother says, Dawkins has been a douchebag for years. Adios, racist. See, you say adios, racist, like he's going somewhere. He doesn't give a fuck with regards to his work in intellectualism. He does not give a fuck about your empty claims about him being a racist and him being a douchebag. All of that, those empty things, you haven't even brought anything to the table. Jump into the Discord. Allow people to challenge you.
Yo.
What up, Bruce? What do you think of the American Humanist Association canceling Richard Dawkins?
Oh, good. The atheists will eat their own just like the left will, so I'm not surprised.
Unfortunately, that seems to be true in recent history.
Yeah, I mean, it's most when they start to get into the ideology the way the left does, that's what's going to happen.
Lawrence Krauss,
you
here's another one.
Go down low enough.
Yeah. Here's another one. Lawrence Krauss gets these allegations of sexual misconduct against him without a lick of evidence being presented, and everyone throws him under the bus instantly.
Right, dude.
Because
there's
if
no
you don't,
skepticism applied, yet they claim to be skeptics.
Right. Yeah, and there's nothing skeptical about this crap.
There's no evidence. There's not even circumstantial, or very little.
Well, and even in those cases, the stuff that is described is sexual clumsiness, not assault or any of this crap.
See, I feel like a bit of a pariah in society, but I think you guys might be worse when it comes
don't
to
lump me in with it.
No. What I'm saying is you being a skeptic who's also not interested in leftism or cancel culture. So basically being like on the side of skepticism, objective reality, science, and staying out of most metaphysical pursuits and asking for hard evidence and staying on what is, and then also being not into God, and then also being not into cancel culture. I mean, it's like you're in a impossible spot.
Right. Well, look, yeah, it's I refuse to wear any of these labels. And if someone is talking to me about gods, I will tell them that I'm an atheist and I'll describe what my atheism is. And Bruce, if you're talking about gods, what would you say?
I would describe to them as my God is the ultimate for all being.
Right. Because you're a Christian.
But Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but that doesn't right. And the hard part, and the part of that is I can retreat, or I have like groups of people that are welcoming to my ideals
So let me
and
ask you this,
ideology,
Bruce.
but you wouldn't really have one though. I mean, you have the people that are in your camp, which your camp is just so small.
I want to get your take on the Christian community. Is the
it's hard to
Christian
say.
community engaging in this kind of crap where they'll hear an idea that they think is wrong, let's say a moral idea that they think is wrong. In the Christian community, do you get that same kind of cancel response?
Yeah, it's actually pretty common what we would call progressive Christianity, and even more in more recent years. And actually, like anyone that stands firm on what we would consider to be traditional or even literal biblical based Christianity are being swept under the rug or cast out as like racist or homophobes or that's what they're saying about anyone that holds true to the very faith that they were given. So like it's kind of the same idea as this left paradigm where they're like basically standing on the shoulders of giants and then canceling those who don't conform to their new idea. It's the same thing that's happening with like Lawrence Krauss or Dawkins.
Yeah.
Like it's just and that's
Isn't
actually
it funny
a real
though that
problem
these are the guys who
Christians.
paved the fucking way in this war of ideas?
Yeah, same thing for us. Like so for instance, like a large portion of Southern Baptists and or Baptists from London, in the 1600s, paved the way for what we would consider to be the Protestant Reformation in the modern era, the Great Awakening. Is a large portion of the way services run today, music, everything around the culture of Christianity, and they're saying that that's no good because they're not tolerant enough of these certain things here or there.
Right.
It's very much the same liberalism sort of thing. It's not liberalism, it's leftism. It's the same sort of ideology that's infected. Seems like it's infected everything, not just, science. It's infecting Christianity and any other culture or walk of life.
Well, here's the thing, like even in the scientific community, we have a scientist, a biologist asking a question relating to social implications of biological truths on Twitter, and they don't want to have a conversation about the science.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it's just
fucking
like,
retarded.
It's the same argument on the Christian side. They're like, we were talking about Jesus here. Okay, then they don't want to talk about the Bible. Like you ask them, you're claiming Christianity. Where do you get Christianity from? The Bible. How do you know what Jesus is? The Bible. Okay, well then give me chapter and verse on what you are currently saying is the situation with homosexuality. And they were like, well, it's not the same anymore. They won't give you chapter and verse because they can't.
Right.
It's the same exact thing you're talking about.
Right. So
the only difference is ours is what you might consider art, but even that we have an upheld view of what is the standard, and they're not interested in the standard.
Right. Like
it's a hard spot to be.
Well, yeah, it's like for you, the moral system you believe has been written for you. In an objective sense, from a top down, you have the ultimate, which you would call God, and he is the ultimate moral authority. Now, in my worldview, I look out into the world, and I want to look at the presuppositions I'm going to base my moral foundation on. Mine are life is preferential to death, and health is preferential to sickness, and then I try to form a moral statement. Based on those two things, in trying to achieve those things, and that's the challenge that a secular person is faced with. You have to build a moral foundation from scratch, essentially.
Right.
So okay, we have these two things going on. Now, if you agree, which all atheists are going to agree, that morality, I'd be surprised if I met one that didn't, but morality is subjective, they're going to say, and I would agree with them. And when I look at this AHA website, they don't talk about like when they say what is good and what is bad and things like this, because they talk about like social justice and all these different things. They're not giving me what metric they are using to determine
feelings based.
Well, yeah, like
There is no metric.
yeah, like so basically what this AHA is saying is that if you have come to the wrong, what we consider to be the bad subjective moral system, even if you consider yourself a humanist, you're not allowed in our club. So
Yeah,
they've
so it's the
created a
same
new religion.
issue. It's the same issue when we say, by what standard are you determining this claim?
Right.
It's their own standard. It's their fallacious reasoning. And it's the same in the case you're making. See, we're making a standard by which all things stem from what we would consider God-breathed, which is scripture.
Right.
They are saying that is not enough, yet they hold to God, but they'll say that's not enough. I have to create a new set of ideals from my own autonomous reasoning. Well, that's not going to hold up in any theological debate based in scripture. And in the other side, it's not going to hold up in any scientific debate based in objective fact.
Well, I agree. So I agree with
they're
that
nowhere.
because the claim would be that these are subjective systems. So you are right that it's not going to hold up in the objective sense, which I don't think
it would never.
Yeah, I don't.
But
think,
in your case, you're asking them to look at science specifically. We have objective measures of such things. Why are you not interested in discussing it?
Right.
Well, because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Well, 100%. Look, in my moral foundation, maximizing well-being for yourself and those around you, the well-being I'm talking about is demonstrated measures of wellness from the hospital and from medical science. But and this is what Richard Dawkins is talking about. This is 100% what he's talking about. What up, Austin? What up, Loki?
Hey.
Austin, what do you think about this AHA canceling of
Austin?
Just one sec, Nivik. Austin, what do you think of this canceling of Richard Dawkins, what they're calling an honor from the AHA?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Just to let you know, I'm Scientific Best from the live chat.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like canceling is sort of the atomic bomb. You know, it's definitely not something that people should jump to. The problem I have with this whole situation is Dawkins used this whole, he compared the whole thing to the Rachel Dolezal, or
yep.
I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Yep.
Dolezal.
You know, it's just not apples to apples. You know, it's a very different situation, and the insinuation there is that, you know, he's basically saying, like, a priori, that, you know, gender identity is something that people can just assume when convenient, and that there might not be a legitimate, like, internal biological psychological basis.
You got that out of what he said?
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't say that.
How could you possibly read that out of what he said, though? I don't get that.
Well,
what's the quote for my sake?
Well, let me pull up the quote.
Since we are talking about verifiable facts here.
I mean, you can't tell me that he used that example and didn't intend to compare it to trans identity, self-identity.
You should understand that it seems like people are going to start pulling out the white old man race card on this guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not even trying to go there. I'm just saying, like, I remember the Rachel Dolezal controversy when it occurred, and I mean, yeah, that was obviously, like, a really bad situation. Like, this person is clearly not black. She's literally like
but you got the
wearing
dude.
blackface.
That's a really weird. She's not though, dude.
She was.
I met her.
You did personally?
Yeah, in Washington State.
Look, I don't.
Dude, if you see her on the street, I can't tell. If I see her on the street, I honestly cannot tell the difference between her and a mixed person.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
I didn't get the whole story. I don't know. I mean, I could be easily wrong, but my impression was that she did make serious claims that she was a black person.
Oh yeah, she did. But I'm saying, like, as far as someone saying this person isn't black, it's like I can't make that claim just by looking at her, man. Well, you know, I can't say that, you know.
That's fair, but she should be able to make the claim honestly, right? Like, it's not about what you claim, it's about what she claims. And if she's knowingly deceiving people based on that claim out of, like, convenient political narrative. And that's a problem. And
Would it
I
be
think what
different
Richard
if she
Dawkins is
didn't know that
insinuating
she
is
was
that
deceiving people?
maybe it's convenient for a person to identify as
Yeah.
trans, and they might not actually be trans, and they're just doing this as like a sort of weird, like, liberal virtue signaling kind of thing.
But I don't know
And
if it's hard to say. See, in the case of her, in her case, she may be making she's making an actual case that she grew up this way. There are specific things about her experience.
That's
it's her
true.
own feelings. It's the way she looks. Like, you see all the check marks that somebody is making, with the exception of being specifically an African descendant of slaves. She may not be able to prove that. But anything else, it's the same checkbox. Which actually proves the insanity of such things. Unfortunately, it doesn't help at all.
I want to grant Austin. So Austin, let's say we grant that what you're reading into what Dawkins is saying is correct. What would be the appropriate approach to that?
I think
we need the quote, by the way. We need to make sure we know what everyone's
talking about.
Here's the quote. Here's the quote. Richard said on April 10th of this year, so literally 12 days ago, in 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that they literally are what they identify as. Discuss. So we asked them to discuss. Now, Austin, if and I'll read his clarifying statement after, but Austin, if with that statement alone, what is in your view, what is the appropriate response to be taken if you disagree with Richard?
From Richard's perspective?
No, from you. If you disagree with Richard on that, what action do you take?
Yeah, no, I think this is where I agree with you. I think jumping straight into mass cancellation of Dawkins is probably not the correct approach. I think
probably, or is it just not?
Well,
are you worried?
So
let me ask you, Austin, are you worried to just say that it's a retarded thing to do?
Well, yeah, actually, no, yes. I mean, for sure. This is the problem I have. I think cancellation is a tool. It is a brute force, you bring out the big guns kind of tool. This is not something that you do to your own typically just because.
Why would you do it to
one
anyone,
comment?
Though?
I mean, you
wouldn't cancel Daryl Davis for talking to the KKK.
Here's the deal. Everyone in all of society has some form of this. It's social punishment for a thing that people like. People have a sense of shared values, and people want to enforce those values, and that's just human nature. That's just things that people do. Everyone has done it throughout society. I'm not saying that it's right to always do that all the time. All I'm saying is that is just the social mechanics that we have evolved with. We punish each other socially for, breaches of our common values. And I think that's what we do to Nazis. It's what we do to, people that are actually morally degenerate, that I think everyone would agree. But that's the key. Not everyone agrees. The fact that those people exist out there means that people don't agree. And I think there is a line that you can draw where you just say, hey, look, free rational discourse is great, but this is kind of beyond that. And I don't think that Dawkins crossed that line. But what I'm saying is that theoretically, just from a principled standpoint, it is perfectly acceptable to use social punishment as a form of value correction, just to get us into the same ballpark.
Yeah, but Austin, the problem
is
everyone has their own subjective moral foundation, and some people claim to have objective moral foundation.
This is why people accuse skeptics of moral relativism.
Well, I would say that's true.
I mean, there is some truth to it, but I don't think that
you can't agree. You can't. I mean, you can disagree with me on objective morality, but
Sure.
There's clearly moral relativism when it comes to skepticism that's applied.
See, but
I think
mine,
that's true to an extent. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, in my moral foundation, maximizing well-being for myself and those around me, there is no exception.
Yeah, but even so, maximizing well-being for yourself and those around you would be exceptional depending on who is around you at the time. So you wouldn't necessarily act the same way in multiple places.
Well, and obviously you guys will have to read my book on this, but when I say those around me, that is forever changing and adapting based on where I am, and also based on how far of a reach my general psychology can handle, because some people can handle, their family as their reach and those close around them, and others take on the world.
Right.
Yeah, but you understand where that gets dicey and difficult when you're talking about a man's character who remains firm. You see, doing what's right in the scenario that may be antithetical to what is right based on those around him. And so you then have to say, like, well, guys, this is not good for your, health preferential, life preferential to death, wellness preferential to sick. You have to convince them. But in their world, that's not the case. So now you're stuck on an island as a man who's holding to his convictions about, this is not good for you. This is not good for me. This is not good for society. I'm stuck now on this island.
Well, I would say,
and I'm not saying like you would be wrong in that situation. I'm just saying that's what would happen.
Well, I have a dream that first of all, I think most of our laws are already based on that in the West. But I think, I have a dream that everyone will adopt some version of this. Look, and I will say that I think most people do engage in this anyway, but they may not call it their moral foundation. But I do have a dream that people will seek to maximize well-being for themselves and those around them as they move through any scenario. And if you do come to moral dilemmas that seem impossible to solve from that perspective, you will err on the side of the best version of that you can. And I think all subjective moral systems will do that as well. But
the people are attempting to do that with Dawkins. They're saying this is what's best for society here because we need to make sure
they're making good versus bad claims, right?
But it's not objective. There's no objective standard for anyone in this world. So now you'll just constantly infight.
What up?
I think we all agree on that point. Yeah. I don't think that's super controversial here.
The reason is there's no standard.
So
there's no standard, but that's the point.
That's the only hill I'm dying on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's exactly the point I was trying to make, is that because there is no standard, because morality and just our values, let alone morality, is all subjective, and it's all kind of, it is up for grabs. It like on the playing field of social discourse, and so the way we get to like quasi-objective values, like the kinds of values like murder is wrong,
but those aren't
the way we get to that is we all have to like kind of coalesce and agree on like a certain starting point for things.
Well, that's the law, right? That's what the legal system is.
The law reflects the society.
Yeah.
And the law puts.
But I'm saying you're born into the law, Austin. So if you're born into a law, let's say in the United States, regardless of how you feel about killing people, you are, whether you think killing people ought to be allowed, you are going to find that your moral foundation is going to get you into trouble.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I guess what I'm getting at, if we're going to use that analogy, is like cancel culture, if we want to call it that. Like the idea of deplatforming people is a form of law. Like it's the kind of thing that socially binds a person informally versus formally.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's evil, Austin. I think it's evil because you can't just make up laws and enforce them on people that aren't actual laws.
Well, I mean, that's what people do in society every day. I mean,
and I think it's wrong.
Like when a majority votes for a politician who writes a law, and there's a minority population that suffers as a result of that law.
That's justice.
Are they not doing that?
But that's within the democratic justice system. Go ahead, Mace.
The reason why cancel culture is different to the legal system is that when a law is created, that is written down and it is clear and perfectly worded. Everyone is aware that they're not allowed to do this thing. And in addition to that, there's also an appeal process where laws can be unmade if it turns out that they're not having the impact that we wanted, or that we feel we don't need them anymore. And that's not the case with cancel culture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there's
right. Yeah,
differences.
All the
there
rules
is
are unspoken.
Mace
made
is
up
right.
on this.
There is
there are
no
laws in
path
the
to
past that
redemption.
took away
There is
people's
no
rights.
path to redemption in the eyes of mob justice, but there is paths to redemption in the state's law based in our justice system. And those paths to redemption are vital when it comes to these sorts of things. See, a person that's being canceled socially has no court of appeal outside of their own brute force and another mob that they must bring to the table. And if that's
Sure.
the case, we've lost order. And so that's why these sorts of social justice and initiatives do not actually provide for justice. They provide
think that's
for
fair.
mob rule, which is fine if you're okay with mobs fighting against mobs, but that's mobs all the way down, and eventually the individual is left standing with a pile
Yeah.
of bodies.
And one-
So that's
Yeah.
why we've instituted this societal change with an objective standard.
One thing,
Where
I guess-
and
yeah,
you
go
know,
ahead.
and in capitalism, a free market, if you're going to say like we can use our dollars to purchase and we can cancel, companies with our dollars, that's fair. But you can also support that company and not be canceled. You
That's
see, so
fair.
that's the difference there. So I just wanted to go
Yeah,
out there and say like, there's no path to redemption, and I want to talk about how that's not real justice.
So yeah, I completely agree on basically everything you said. But
One sec, Loki. We'll get you in after Austin. Go ahead, Austin.
sorry, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. What I'm trying to get at is that it's not that like I'm saying cancellation of a public figure is a good thing because it's like law. What I'm saying is that like this is par for the course. This is something that we should expect. Like this is like the baseline for human society, and I think that like being outraged that something like this could ever happen is fair to the extent that it's like unfair in a given circumstance, right? But it's not surprising. Like this is not new. This is not like, this is just what people do. And I think Twitter is particularly egregious about this just because no one can like everyone is strawmanned essentially because you have like a character limit on your tweets. Like no one can present the best version of their argument. Everyone gets strawmanned.
Well, they can. I think ultimately, like I cannot stomach committing a fallacy like that, and that's the way thinking should be. I want to go to Loki.
Can I say one thing?
Loki, go ahead.
The claim that laws being recorded, in theory, gives some clarity or standard, but in practice, we've created systems of so many jurisdictions, so many laws, a precedential interpretation system that's badly fractured thanks to the Supreme Court and others being more political than judicial way too often, that you can reasonably argue that the entire system we call justice is void for vagueness, among other problems. As R.V. Silverglade, Harvard law prof, classically wrote years ago, just looking at the federal element of that, which is a minority, the average person, demonstrably perpetrates 3 felonies a day, most of which are not prosecuted, or the whole system would break down. So it ends up being an arbitrary and subjective system of selective, mostly non-prosecution. And, there are some serious problems in the whole notion of justice there. With cancel culture, I think, there are ethical violations beyond the law, that, I, even as a free speech advocate and who sees major problems in this culture for some of the reasons that were just stated, think you should be shut down and opposed. But the whole lynch mob justice isn't justice, as it claims to be.
Well, one thing I'd like to say about that, just in response, because I think Loki was responding to some of what I was saying, in the case of the objective standard that the state is setting, well, we'll compare it to the objective standard that I would say God is setting, is the grace afforded to people in that system. So we are affording grace to folks, the fact that it will be very difficult for them to uphold this standard we've set in law. Also, we uphold mercy for these people in the standard that we've set. So we understand that you may not get the punishment you may deserve based on the letter of the law, because we understand human nature and we have mercy and grace for people. And so but that's not afforded by a non-objective standard where the mercy and grace extended goes with the whims of the public. Now, that to me is something that we have lost in what we would consider to be the justice system now, and you have a point. But we also have lost that in the secular society where nobody has a standard, yet we will just enforce our feelings on another without grace or mercy. So I would say those are problems that we need to
call that
address.
hypocritical, because the whole idea of religious notions of mercy and grace, are so at odds with the standards of a secular justice system. That the judges or other parties involved in that might qualify to be shot as domestic enemies. At least under the U.S. standards for that we don't enforce. But
Loki,
it's hypocritical only so far as that man is flawed across the board.
I want to get
that's the case in all of our situations.
Guys, I want to get Nivik in quickly,
go ahead.
And then we'll jump to free speech. We haven't heard free speech yet. Nivik, go ahead. What do you got?
U.S. there's a past history of canceling throughout in the U.S. Of imposing on the minority. And the thing is, like, what if you are anti-cancel culture against intolerance and intolerant, and you can't communicate to a might makes right mindset of being intolerant. So in order to promote tolerance, you be intolerant back just to get your point across in showing that it's wrong. It's like, no, you shouldn't do that, and that person has a cancel culture mindset, because there are people who have that along economic and social lines. And the only way you can get your point across is if, okay, well, it's not that it's not necessarily that you want to promote cancel culture. It's about it's because there's two types of mindsets. There's one in retaliation, and there's one just because we have the power and we're imposing it. So I don't want to get those mixed up. Like with the Dawkins thing, I don't agree with that, because it's just throwing around the weight, of just doing it for the sake of it. It's not like it's a response against an attack.
Thanks, Nivik. I want to go to Freeze speech. Freeze, what do you think of this whole issue?
Yeah, thanks. One of the things that always concerns me in these discussions, I don't know, actually one thing just about the law thing. There is an interesting thing to put on the table, that the old idea that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So I don't know how far we want to stray in this analogy, but if we're going under some kind of legal analogy, the idea that you weren't aware that such and such was a violation in law, that's not an excuse. So I don't know if that makes it worse or better, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But my real question was, to what extent do we think that all of this anti-cancel culture stuff is actually participating in it and kind of stoking the flames? Like, to me, when I hear this and I go, oh, Richard Dawkins was stripped of an honorary thing from the American Humanist Association from 1996, and I just go, is this a story? Well, and it's the same thing that happened with Dr. Seuss.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing that happened with Baby It's Cold Outside last week, where it's like, these are some little non-thing gets turned, everything is a battleground in the culture wars. And it's just, I wonder to what extent this anti-cancel culture intensity is just raising the stakes, just like anti-SJW stuff, or how the left caused Trump, those kind of ideas, that this strong opposition is actually reinforcing things.
Well, I mean, this is skepticism, man. When an organization is claiming to, have a moral answer to human morality outside of God's, which humanism is that, and I think that pursuit is worthwhile and good. But when I see this organization that's supposed to have skeptics and critical thinkers and science enthusiasts and all of these things, what they claim to be, and then they go and do something immoral like this. And again, immoral from my subjective moral system, maximizing well-being for myself and those around me. I come to ask the question of, where are these fools getting their morality from? What system, what metric is informing them that it is a morally good decision to take away this reward from Richard Dawkins because he was seeking to start conversations about social issues relating to biology?
So can I just chime in there?
Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll get, I do want to, let's keep it quick because I want to go to Meaty Egg Roll, and then we're going to end this stream and then transition. Just by the way, everyone, we are going to be talking about on the Pangburn Offensive channel, which is our new live stream channel. Today, the topic, and it's Eliyahu's day, so he's going to be running the conversation. Our resident teacher is going to be running a conversation, and the topic is what makes a good fiction book. That's going to be the topic. That's going to be happening over at the Pangburn Offensive, and I will give you guys the link right now. If you want to engage in that conversation, just engage on Discord like we are right now. We'll be in the Pangburn Philosopher chat room. So please join us. But that'll be starting at let me just check the time 1 second here. Oh, he hasn't posted yet. I believe we're starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time. But anyways, go ahead, Austin.
Sure. So earlier you asked, like, what is the appropriate response to Richard Dawkins' tweet? And just now we talked about, like, what is the point at which it's like okay to cancel someone like Dawkins in this way. And I really think, first of all, Dawkins should have been more nuanced with his question, like with his discussion prompt. And that would have prevented a lot of this, I think. But Twitter doesn't really allow for a whole lot of nuance. So I recognize that. But the thing is, ideally, what we would do is we would have some honest interlocutors, like, actually come at him, like, in public and say, hey, this is what we find problematic with what you're saying, or with the way that you open the discussion.
Yeah.
And then give him a chance to respond. And then if it turns out that he, like, outs himself as, like, a huge transphobic bigot, then I think that,
what is transphobia?
People who are afraid of the concept. Well,
do those people even exist, Austin?
Let me finish my point.
Let's be fair. Like, that's a phobia it's sort of a meme point. And I've not met a person that's afraid.
That's
phobia,
kind of like a meme.
Sorry. Phobia doesn't mean that you're afraid of in this context. It means that you express
but now
either
you're
a fear
getting relative to the term. Now we're changing the.
All right, let's let Austin. Let's let
Austin. Strong aversion. That's all I was going to say.
I'm just saying, like, the talking point memes are not helpful, and that's what's getting us in this place in the first place. You understand?
That's fine. Yeah, I recognize that we don't all agree on the concept of transphobia, but just forget I said that. But, like, let's just use the word bigot, because I feel like that's the concept that we're trying to get across here. And Dawkins himself used the term Republican bigots, in his response.
Sure.
So I think if Dawkins,
that's ridiculous, by the way.
Well, sure, but if Dawkins had voiced opinions in a response to, like, some honest criticism, and then that conversation revealed Dawkins to be someone who doesn't share the values that this humanist organization values, that I think they're perfectly within their rights to take that honor away from him.
Why wouldn't they?
Because if he doesn't exemplify their values anymore, I feel like that's actually.
But their values are based in feelings.
Their values are supposed to be based in skeptical
like feelings and no objective fact.
That's super debatable, but.
Well, that's what it seems.
Okay, let's freeze.
Values change with the wind.
Let's freeze for a second. I want to get Meaty Egg Roll, and then I got to go for a break, and then we'll get back to the other conversation. You guys can join us at the Pangburn Offensive, which is our new live stream channel. Meaty, what do you think of this thing going on with Dawkins?
I absolutely appreciate you handing me the talking stick here, but I am actually still at work. I am here just to listen.
Okay,
I
no
appreciate
worries.
it.
No worries.
It's a
You're
good
listening
good
to us
talk, and I'm
blow the-
super interested. I would like to talk about this later, though, if anyone's online.
All right.
Nice. Okay. Well, you guys.
I will say
Trav's-
that one
Trav's-
thing that I haven't
Yeah,
said
go
yet
ahead, Bruce.
is that the fact like that Dawkins utilized the term Republican bigot puts him firmly in the camp of politicization of such subjects that should be held with
Sure.
higher regard. And so he's deserving of this canceling in some ways because you're starting to get into your political camp.
Well,
like you shouldn't do that.
It is an interesting thing that kind of appeal at his comment to try and clarify. He knows he's talking to people who hate
It is a
Republicans.
faction.
That's right. That's right. Which is not skepticism, dude. That's just bigotry
I
and
agree.
cynicism.
He didn't need to make that clarifying point.
Mm-hmm.
He's just playing into.
He's not an idiot.
He's giving the ravenous dog more treats.
Mm-hmm,
Well, he's expressing that he thinks that the Republican stance on transgendered politics is that they are bigots, and that's his opinion. He's free to share that opinion.
Unfair,
and I think it's fair
that
for
might
Bruce
be
to
unfair,
disagree.
But, that's
But
his
Austin,
opinion, and whether or not he's motivated to do that by this whole cancellation thing is,
who knows?
separate.
Yeah,
But
fair enough. Okay, guys, I want to transition from there. We're going to end the live stream. Just thank you for all you guys. Stay in Trav's tab and chat it out for a bit more if you guys want. But thank you guys for engaging. I really appreciate it. Everyone in the YouTube chat, thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this live stream. Head over to Twitter, send a message to the Richard Dawkins Foundation. Give Dawkins a big up. I mean, he's done so much for science communication and his work with the selfish gene, everything that Richard Dawkins has done for secularism and giving people some courage when they might be lacking to call themselves an atheist, like all of the things that Richard Dawkins has done. Richard Dawkins, there's no evidence, let me tell you, zero evidence that Richard Dawkins is a bigot or anti-trans, or that he's racist or anything like that. If you can make a demonstration of that, send it to me in an email, info@pang-burn.com. But I hope you guys join us for the conversation. What makes a good fiction book? This is at 5 p.m. Pacific time at the Pangburn Offensive. Make sure you guys subscribe to the new channel. Here it is. Thank you guys for engaging in the chat. I really appreciate your guys' discourse in the chat. And as always, let art and science inspire. Thank you.